Good evening, live from Glendale Community College. Seth Askelson along with Adrian Palaio. We are here tonight for Gauchos Volleyball, their second home game of the season. In the first game, they defeated Pima 3-0, but it was not easy. They trailed in the first two sets, really ran away with the third set, 1-3-0, but a lot of unforced errors, a lot of service errors. They seemed to clean that up on Friday night when they played Scottsdale Community College, the team that eliminated them from national championship contention last year, defeated them on the road 3-1. Talked to Coach Stuck. She wants to see a little more consistency out of her team, but for a team that's 3-0, who's starting a lot of freshmen, who's short on the bench, what's impressed you the most about this team, Adrian?
Just their will to win. You know, they're starting out in 3-0, and while it's a small sample size, obviously you want to start out the right way. You want to start out winning every single time out. And this is a Glendale team that's facing this Chandler-Gilbert team that's faced a lot of adversity this season. They start out with a very low record, coming in at 1-6. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come up against this team that has struggled as of late, to see how they perform against a team like this. Is it business as usual? Do they start some players that maybe they normally wouldn't start? You understand what I'm saying, Seth?
Yeah, and it makes sense. You wonder if they start making changes in the lineups. Unfortunately, looking down at the CGCC bench, 5'9" outside hitter Nicole Brown out of Higley High School, a freshman. She is out with an apparent foot injury. She's on crutches. She's not even going to stand in the lineup tonight, so they're down one on the bench. They have a redshirt player, so they only have 13. The Gauchos only have 10. Talking to Coach Stuck, she said she likes her 8-woman rotation. She's got 2 extras if necessary, and so the Gauchos are playing well. We talked about Chandler-Gilbert Community College, 1-6. They won their first game at the CSN Lady Coyote Volleyball Classic, defeating the host College of Southern Nevada 3-2. Since then, they've lost games 3-1, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-2, and 3-0. So since winning the opening game, they have won a total of 3 sets. What has to be different for Chandler-Gilbert tonight?
They just got to learn. They got to learn through each other. This is a Coyotes team that only has 2 sophomores on the entire roster. So obviously they have to learn together, and they have to learn quickly. Otherwise, it might be a very long season. And speaking of sophomores, this Glendale team is a lot shorter than it was last year. They're missing a couple of key sophomores from last season that were well over 6 feet tall. Once again, this is a rather short Glendale team. Their tallest player comes in the 5'11". They actually have 4 players in that 5'11", including number 11, Katie Deffer, the middle blocker from Ironwood. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play up front, considering they don't have, the biggest height advantage over these Coyotes.
Yeah, and up front, Defer, Tregaboff, and La Liberty have really been keys in anchoring down the front of the net. We saw it against Pima here in Glendale last Wednesday. For the Gauchos, 3 in a row. They head to a tournament at Scottsdale Community College this weekend, playing Friday and Saturday. We plan on having at least some of those games for you this weekend. When we come back, we will have the start. The Glendale Gauchos looking to improve 2-0 on home court, 4-0 in the season before heading off to a big tournament this weekend. We'll be back here. Adrian Palaio, Seth Askelson on the Gauchos Live Stream Network. Welcome back to Glendale, Arizona. My name is Seth Askelson along with Adrian Palaio. We are here to deliver you Glendale Gauchos volleyball. Like we discussed earlier in the pregame, the Gauchos going for a 4-0 record. 1-0 at home so far. Even though they won 3-0 against Pima, they want to clean up some service errors. Talking to Coach Stuck, she was proud of her team on Friday but wants to see some more consistent play. And so the Gauchos are going to get going here. And Adrian, our time here at Glendale, we worked here for about 4 years, and we've seen a Glendale team that's hosted a couple regionals, won a national championship, and it seems to be pretty much business as usual right now for this program and Lisa Stuck.
Absolutely, business as usual. They're starting out 3-0, but they got to, restart every single year. Obviously, a big roster turnover in junior college sports, and they're going to want to look to build through their sophomores. And one of those sophomores includes number 3, Jessica Taylor, and another one is number 7, Kylie Smith, who has definitely made her presence known on the court in the short amount of games that she's had. Among the league leader in digs for the team, including 30, along with number 10, Maya Doyle, who also has 31 digs. Their main scorer is number 6, Oriana Montoya, who has 23 kills this season. And we're going to see right now who the Gauchos can show up as we get started right here with the Coyotes on the serve.
Yeah, serving it over was Perales for the Coyotes. Smith couldn't handle the pass in front of the net. She gets charged with a double hit, and it's 1-0. The Gauchos up front, you talked about Oriana Montoya. They have a handful of freshmen. Tregoboff and La Liberty are really important on that as the serve again from Perales, and a bad pass from the back by Jasmine Smith. We saw in the first home game against Pima really picked on Jasmine Smith. She struggled early on. She eventually settled in, but she's struggling once again as here's the third consecutive serve from Perales, and that goes into the net. When you look at a team like the Gauchos and they're picking on Smith, what do you have to tell Smith so she stays calm?
Well, you just got to make sure she stays calm, but you got to make sure that she makes her freshmen around her stay calm. As we're going to see Treguboff on the serve here, collected in by the Coyotes, and it's just going to be sent over by Stickley, but it's going to hit the side poles, and that's going to be a point for the Gauchos. Yeah,
Stickley tried to get it down the line on the left side here closest to the table. As another serve here for the Gauchos from Treguboff. Treguboff gets it to the back end. A horrible handle by Flake, and the ball finally hits the bottom of the net as there's a meeting at the net. The Gauchos won that, and Ellie Flake early on, we talked about only 2 sophomores on the team for Chandler-Gilbert. The Gauchos only have 5, so that's half their roster as they're picking once again on Flake. She handles this one, and the swing from the right side for Candace Byrne gets down, and we're tied back at 3 as we get a substitution here.
Yeah, it's going to be number 10, Kanani Jackson, coming in. She will be doing the serving right now, and just now I noticed Coach Lisa Stuck come up to her girls, give her a little bit of encouragement. It's tied 3-all right now, but they got to get their heads right.
Yeah, and the serve there from Jackson to the back row to Doyle. Smith's going to set it up for Jasmine Smith. The Smith connection there, barely handled by Jackson, but they're going to be able to get it over via Flake. Doyle sets up Kylie Smith, who gets a good swing, but it gets stopped there by the libero, and a swing from Flake is too far. The Gauchos get the point. Good job by Destiny Lewis to stop Treguboff's swing. And the Chandler-Gilbert Coyotes are really handling the Gauchos up at the front. They've had some good hitters historically, and they still do, including Oriana Montoya, as Doyle's serve is into the far back corner. It's handled by the Coyotes, and Hannah's going to get it over. Now it's going to be set up by Montoya to Jasmine Smith. She tips it over, and it's going to hit the floor. And the Gauchos now up 5-3.
Absolutely. A little cheeky tip over by her right there. She saw the Coyotes moving over. She saw the momentum was taking them one way, just tipped it over the other. Unbelievable play by her right now.
And the serve from Doyle in the back corner. She tried what she did the first time, which was hit the back left corner. Sitting there was Kanani Jackson. She puts it over her head, and the Coyotes get the serve back. Now serving is Sydney Permenter. And Permenter bounces the ball a couple times and tries to get it over the net. She serves it straight into the net, and the Gauchos, a team that we saw have some service errors, the Gauchos are the benefactors of them early on here.
Yeah, just a couple little mistakes here from the Coyotes. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out as we have Montoya on the serve. A little bit of a miscue, and unable to get to it was Flake at the end there. Just a little bit of mishit there, and Gauchos quickly take a 3-point lead here in the first set as we're going to remain seeing Montoya on the serve, sends it over, taken in by Flake. Unable to get to it is number 14, Marissa Perales. And all of a sudden, Chandler-Gilbert needs to get their communication right. They're quickly dwindling down.
Yeah, we talked about picking on Jasmine Smith with serves on the Gauchos. They've been picking on Jackson, and they're going to try again. And it's a mix-up between Jackson and Destiny Lewis, and the Gauchos are up 9-4. Amanda Omar is going to take a timeout. We're going to take that timeout with her. 9-4 here in the first set. The Gauchos on top of the Coyotes. We'll be back here on the Gauchos live stream network. Welcome back to the Gauchos live stream network. Seth Askelson, Adrian Palaio, Montoya for the Gauchos, serving up 9-4. And they're picking on Jackson in the back row again at Chandler-Gilbert. She handles it. This time it's going to be a cross-court swing by Flake. Amanda Omar screaming some approval there, and it definitely an improvement from what the Coyotes were doing before the break.
Yeah, she just sent it right over. Tragobov, she was already going one way. It was kind of unfortunate for her. She was going that way. Ball went another way. She just wasn't able to handle it. As we see the Coyotes now on the serve, Tragobov is the one who collects it. Kylie Smith to collect it. And it's going to be sent over, and that's going to be a point for the Gauchos. As now it looks like we're going to see Doyle on the, as a matter of fact, no. It's going to be Smith, the one who earned that point, who's going to be doing the serving right now. 10-5, the score in the favor of the Gauchos. Smith will send it over, collected in by Jackson, but mishitting it. And that's going to be another point for the Gauchos. And like you said, Seth, just picking on her continuously throughout this game.
Yeah, and Jackson has not proven she can handle it. She's only handled about one of those passes, and that set up the kill by Flake early in the set, as Smith's going to serve it wide to the right corner, trying to replicate what Doyle was doing in the left corner, and it didn't work out, and the Gauchos now up 11-6, as serving is Ellie Flake. Flake has been the best hitter so far for the Chandler-Gilbert Coyotes, as Flake's serve is towards the back row. It's kept by Montoya. Now it's Kylie Smith over to Tragobov in the left back corner. It is stopped by Flake, and the Coyotes are just going to have to send it over, as it's a good job by Flake. Doyle might have hit a ball that was going out, but Kylie Smith's going to set up Montoya, and it is too far for the back row. And all of a sudden, the Coyotes picking up 2 straight points, cutting it to 11-7.
Yeah, some nice play from the Gauchos there, but, Doyle was a little bit unlucky to just send it over right there. As it looks like we're going to see Flake on the service. She sends it over. It's collected down by Montoya. Kylie Smith, and on the far end is Tragobov. Collected in nicely by the Coyotes. Cheeky little tip over there. Doesn't work, however. Another one, and it's going to hit the net. They still have another chance to get it over, and they will not do so, as it was just a little unlucky there from Weiserman just to not get it over the net. A little bit of, I don't want to say sloppy play, but let's say a little bit of rushed play from both of these teams early, Seth.
Yeah, and it seemed like it is a little rush from both teams, but the Gauchos seem to be the more calmer, as the serve from the back row for the Gauchos was by La Liberty. The Coyotes are going to handle a kill attempt from the net, and they're going to get one themselves, as Kayla Weiserman gets one down, as the Gauchos had a hard time handling it. And it is now 12-8. Serving is the libero for the Coyotes, Destiny Lewis, serving right to left on your computer screen. Here comes the serve from Lewis. It's a jump serve. It's toward the back row at Jasmine Smith. Now it's set up by Kylie Smith, and a kill attempt from Defer. She tried to go cross court on it, but she put a little too much spin and it goes out of bounds. Yeah, I don't know. She kind of just misguessed herself. She kind of second-guessed. It almost seemed like she wanted to float it a little bit, but at the end of it, she kind of just hit it hard with her hand, and it ended up going wide left, as the serve from the Coyotes misses the net, and it's going to be 13-9 now. Yeah, Destiny Lewis with a service error. Something the Gauchos really haven't participated in is the service error. We saw it a lot in the first 2 games, and they've cleaned it up here tonight at home, as the Coyotes take a serve from Kylie Smith, and a kill attempt from Candace Byrne, and it's going to hit the antenna, and the Gauchos now up 14-9. Different story in the first set than when they played Pima. They were trailing for most of it and came back. This time they seem to be firmly in control, as Smith floats a serve over the net. A bad handle there by Poorman of the Coyotes, and Defer doesn't get a great pass, and she just has to send it over on the third attempt. And there's a kill attempt into the block by Byrne. The Coyotes are going to get another chance, and it's swung way too far by Poorman, and the Coyotes now down 15-9. Yeah, it always seems like the Coyotes are playing defensive ball right now, and it seems to be that way even so, as Kylie Smith comes in for her third serve, as it would appear. Taken in by Poorman.
by Byrne, and it's a nice kill there from Byrne. Always had the upper hand there, just rocketed over to the Gauchos side.
Yeah, and the Gauchos, like we talked about, a little frenzy from both teams. Not as calm. We've seen it a little better from the Gauchos. Chandler-Gilbert, a lot of service errors and having a hard time handling passes. Doyle has a hard time handling a serve, but Jasmine Smith's going to swing way too wide. And the Gauchos, the last 2 or 3 swings we saw from Defer trying to get it cross court. Smith a little wide, and just some bad kill attempts. As this time it's going to be Defer, and she misses as well. And we've talked about service errors and unforced errors. Right now the Gauchos are committing a lot of them on their kill attempts.
Yeah, this game of volleyball is one where errors matter the most. You know, the main objective is just to get the ball over the net, and if you make the errors yourself, you're going to make life a lot easier for your opponent. As the Coyotes are going to send it over now. Nice job by Doyle to collect it in. And here it is for Montoya. She gets it to go.
Yeah, and Montoya, probably their best player. Very good in the back. We've seen her play in the back. We've seen her play in the front. She can block. She can kill. She can receive serves. She can do it all. And for the Gauchos, she's been the anchor this season with a lot of those talented freshmen. As serving now is Tregaboff, and it's deep to the back row, handled by Flake. Now it is set up for the Coyotes. Stickley. Great job by Jasmine Smith to keep it alive. And Jasmine Smith's going to get her swing. It's in the block. And now it's Doyle. And a miscommunication between Smith and Tregaboff on who was going to send it over. They both kind of looked at the ball, and it falls in between them, and now the score's at 16-13 here in the first set.
Yeah, we're going to have Jackson coming back in now for the Coyotes, so it's going to be interesting to see how the Gauchos respond to that. Remember, a little bit earlier in their set, they were sending it over to her a lot, and she was mishandling a lot of those as Kylie Smith collects it, and it's going to be sent over. Jackson does a nice job to collect, and now it's just going to be sent over, and it works. A nice job there by the Coyotes. Got the nice little flip over attempt, and at the end of the day, it's going to be Stickley on the kill.
Yeah, and the Gauchos having a hard time getting their own kills. We saw about 4 kill attempts, and if they got those down, we could be talking about the end of the first set right here as Jackson serves going to go cross court at Jasmine Smith, and the ball's going to get over. They're going to call a carry, over the net, and the Gauchos are going to get a substitution on Kylie Smith. In comes Jessica Taylor, and the momentum right now is right in Chandler-Gilbert's favor.
Yeah, very interesting to see Coach Stuck sub out one of her sophomores for the exact same. Jessica Taylor obviously have some experience on this team. Maybe see if she can maybe communicate a little bit better. That has been a little bit of a problem as Jackson sends it over for the Coyotes. A nice job of getting to it by Taylor. And Tegelbaum just going to send it back over. The Coyotes sending on the far side for Stickley. No good as it's collected by Taylor. Montoya on the far side as it's going to be taken in. But we have a fault, and it is going to be against the Coyotes, and that's going to be a point for the Gauchos.
Yeah, and it looked like a net violation up front there. They're calling it on Kaylee Stickley, and the Gauchos finally breaking a run of 5 straight points for the Coyotes. Now at 17-15, it's going to be Maya Doyle. Kylie Smith was the captain out there, so to take your captain out, you're really sending a statement right now if you're Lisa Stuck, as a serve from Doyle gets to the back row, handled by Lewis. A cross-court kill attempt by Hannah doesn't get down, and now it's Jasmine Smith for the Gauchos, and that's going to get through the block and get down. And that's 2 straight points for the Gauchos. And it looks like they took Kylie Smith out. Lisa Stuck making a statement, and her players are responding, at least for right now.
Exactly. Jessica Taylor came into this game, showed a lot of dominance, and just got an assist over there on the nice kill by Smith as it's sent over by Doyle, taken in. Jackson to collect, and then it's just going to be sent over by Hannah here. And just getting on the end of it was Taylor. But once again, miscommunication by this Gauchos team led to an error and a point for the Coyotes.
La Liberty has been having trouble on deciding, as we're going to get timeout here from Glendale. We'll talk about it during the timeout. Lisa Stuck slapping her notebook 3 times across her hand. She is clearly frustrated. La Liberty 2 times there. The one that miscommunication between Smith was with La Liberty. They both kind of looked at each other and looked at the ball. That time Taylor tried to get it over to Tregaboff, and it was almost like Tregaboff wasn't paying attention to what was going on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of freshmen on this team, and not only that, but it's a roster turnover. These players have to get used to each other. They have to get used to talking to each other efficiently. Otherwise, miscommunication is a thing you can't have in a team sport such as volleyball. Otherwise, you're going to have things like that happen every single time, and it's always going to lead to points for the other team. Chandler, on the other hand, seems to just be taking advantage of that fact and just playing volleyball the way that they should be, just getting it over the net and just seeing what happens.
It's like you said, talking to the head coach of the Coyotes, Amanda Omar, she said they want to play their game. And their game has been pretty simple so far. Like you said, no crazy, when they get the opportunity, they're going cross-court or doing, fancy tips over the net, but they're keeping it simple. And the Gauchos are really playing themselves out of this first set. They had a decent margin ahead, and they've played themselves out of this first set. As we come back from the timeout, the Gauchos are up 18-16, but do not have the serve. And we're going to let the time run out here as the Gauchos are going to look to swing the momentum here. 18-16 in the first set here for Glendale against Chandler-Gilbert, their second home game of the season. As here comes the serve, cross court and off the net to Jasmine Smith of the Gauchos. Smith's going to get set up from Taylor, hits it into the block, and it hits the floor on the Gauchos side. And Lisa Stuck is yelling, and Nick Giatrodakis, the assistant coach, is coming up. And a little delay as we have some trouble getting the ball to the server. And Chandler-Gilbert's going to get another serve from Permenter as Permenter gets the serve. She's going to serve it right to the back end at Tregaboff. And now it's going to be set up for La Liberty, who gets it down. And La Liberty taking control. Not a high pass. There's a little short setup, and La Liberty just murders it into the court.
Yeah, just a little short setup there. Go nice and quick. That's exactly how the GCC Gauchos need to get things done right here. Efficiently and with no mercy whatsoever, as it's tried to send over there by Weiserman. Just can't get it over. And that's going to be a point for the Gauchos, as we have Montoya now serving here. 20-17 the score, as Montoya is going to send it over. Collected in here. Taken in by Weiserman. And a nice job of getting to it there by Montoya. Taylor will just send it across as it's going to be collected here. And once again, on the attempt was Weiserman, and she gets it over. And it's going to be a line fault there on the Gauchos, resulting in a point for the Coyotes.
Yeah, and they're going to call it on the, like you said, on the Gauchos. And Montoya, she was able to get her hand underneath the ball. She didn't just swing randomly. She tactically got her hand under the ball, popped it up, and the Gauchos had the opportunity to get that point. As Tregaboff in the back row handles the serve, and the swing from La Liberty. And La Liberty's gotten two chances since that timeout, and she has been absolutely slapping the ball over that net.
Yeah, La Liberty just came into this game on a mission to make her presence known, and she's done just that. As Smith is going to be in here on a serve, taken in by Jackson. And once again, it's going to be Weiserman, and taken on the line fault once again. And the Coyotes are going to get an easy point here. And now we're going to see number 3, Lily Hanna, on the serve, as we're also going to see Candace Byrne come in for number 10, Kanani Jackson.
Like you said, a lot of unforced errors. On that serve by Jasmine Smith, that was a line drive serve. That was a good serve, as this one is floated over by the Coyotes. And now it's going to be served up for Tregaboff, who is going to get, I think, the benefit of the doubt. I think it was a net violation on the Coyotes. And Talisa Smith's going to come in for La Liberty to serve. Speaking of great servers, Haley Christiansen, former Gaucho player, now an assistant coach at Phoenix College, she had a serve that looked like a knuckleball. It would float through the air, and at the last second, it's moving and it's dying. And Jasmine Smith hitting the Coyotes with a line drive. We'll see if she gets more of those, as the Coyotes handle a serve and a kill attempt by Candace Byrne. Like we talked about for La Liberty, for the Gauchos, who's been killing the ball really well. Byrne, who's been in most of the game for the Coyotes, every time she's getting set up, she's slapping the ball down, and effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see the serve now here from Lewis, taken in here. And Taylor's going to send it across here, and no good from Smith. That's going to be taken in by Perales. Sent across by Byrne, as you mentioned, really all across the court right now. And it's just going to be sent over here and taken in by the Gauchos. Taylor across, and it's going to be good. Good from Deffer, the freshman, the 5'11 freshman, as we mentioned in the pregame. And she gets her first kill of the afternoon.
Yeah, and defer, as we're going to get a timeout from Amanda Omar, and we'll talk about the Gauchos, and we'll stay right here with you for the timeout. The Coyotes' second timeout of the game, the set. Defer, she kills that ball, and it's been kind of a kill by committee in this first set. We saw Montoya early on and Smith, and then we saw La Liberty in between the timeouts. And now Defer's had a couple of chances to kill it. It looks like the Gauchos are just finding any way they can to finish up this first set and move on.
Absolutely. Like we mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, there's not a very tall team, this Gauchos squad. So you kind of have to move the ball around. You know, you don't have that one target man that you're going to rely that every kill on. So as we go into the rest of this set, only 2 points remaining. It's going to be interesting to see who the ball goes to. You have Taylor right there. She seems to be the main distributor right now. You have Doyle there taking in all the digs on the back end. But, you have Montoya there, you have Defer right there, and you also have number 11, and you also number 12, I should say, Tregaboff. And it seems like they're the main ones that have been doing, the kill attempts right now. But we're going to see Jessica Taylor right now on the serve, as the Gauchos only need 2 points to win this first set in what has been a very eventful set, and what I can say personally, Seth, we did not expect ourselves.
Yeah, we didn't, and we thought the Gauchos, who would take advantage of a team that's lost 6 in a row, and the Chandler-Gilbert Coyotes have come in here and have played well on the road, but down, and a service error as Jessica Taylor slaps into the net, and the Gauchos look frustrated by these errors, as we're going to get a substitution. And now serving for Chandler-Gilbert is going to be Marissa Perales. As we talked about, the Gauchos, a lot of unforced errors. And, yeah, when they slapped that ball over, it was a very hard slap by whoever was at the front line. I believe that was Tregaboff. She seemed a little frustrated, just like the Gauchos team would be. And when she slapped that ball, I don't know if she caught some of the net or maybe the serve caught some of that net. And the net fell down, so it's not as tight as it should be. And we have pretty much the entire Gauchos lineup out there trying to fix the net. And we're going to take this break as they figure out the equipment issue. Seth Askelson, Adrian Palaio, 23-21 here in the first set on the Gauchos live stream network. Welcome back to Gauchos live stream. Seth Askelson, Adrian Palaio, 23-21 here in the first set. The net had a kind of a collapse on itself after a service error by Jessica Taylor, so we got some equipment issues. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday night. The Gauchos looking to improve to 4-0, 2-0 in their home court. Right now, very inconsistent, though still leading. You have to wonder that without all those errors, they could be up a lot larger.
Yeah, the net is falling down, but so is the temperament of head coach Lisa Stuck. She's walking back to the bench right now. She does not look happy with her team. A little show of frustration there by the team. I believe was that Tregaboff who kind of just slapped the net. It kind of just fell down. And, you got to show a little bit better composure than that. You're up by 2 points still. You can still win this set rather handily, but you got to show a little bit more compassion, not more compassion, a little bit more composure than that. You got to just look ahead for the rest of this set.
Yeah, and talking to Lisa Stuck before the game started, she talked about she wanted to see a more consistent team, and right now she's not getting that, and I can understand why she's frustrated. We've seen this team, very talented, defeated Scottsdale, the defending region champions, on the road 3-1. Obviously it's a different team like we talked about with a lot of roster turnover, but they went on the road, won a very difficult game against a team that's also very well coached. And unfortunately for the Gauchos, they really haven't carried that momentum over. Like we said, they're leading, but it's a lead that hasn't been all that dominant, and it's not a one-set game, so they're not out of the woods by winning this first set. They still got to hold the Chandler-Gilbert Coyotes off for at least 2 more sets, if not more. And so we're still trying to fix the net here. Looks like we're almost resolved as they tape up the poles, and the net seems to be back in place. Like we said, thank you for joining us live from Glendale, Arizona. We apologized last week for the technical difficulties in the football game, well, both the football and the volleyball game. We were testing some new equipment. We have that new equipment tonight. It seems to be working better. So if there are any problems, don't be afraid to chat the live stream and let us know if you can't hear, if it's too low, if it's fuzzy. And so we're going to finally get back to volleyball here. 21-23 in favor of the Gauchos over the Chandler-Gilbert Coyotes here in the first set. And the Coyotes are going to serve here, and it's going to be Marissa Perales as she goes for the serve. Here's her serve. It's towards the back row at Valdez, who just got in. And Montoya and Taylor having a hard time communicating as well, and that's an issue they've had on the latter part of this set is the communication, and it bit them again as here's the serve from Perales going right to left for the Coyotes. Valdez handles it. Now it's going to be Jessica Taylor who sets up Montoya, who goes back row. Not a great kill, but Destiny Lewis handles it. And now the setup for Byrne, and we're going to get a net violation on Byrne on that kill attempt, and it's going to be set point for the Gauchos. Not a clean set for the Gauchos, but they could get out of it with the victory here. Serving for the Gauchos is Shregobov. She goes back row. It's handled there by Hannah. And now the Coyotes set it up, and it's cross court. Byrne tries it. It's no good, and the Gauchos a little rough in that first set, but what matters is they're up 1-0. Like I said, 1-0 in favor of the Gauchos. We'll be back here with set number 2. Adrian Plyo, Seth Askelson on the Gauchos live stream. Welcome back to Gauchos live stream. Seth Askelson, Adrian Palaio. The Gauchos won their first set 25-21, 25-22, excuse me. Little inconsistent there. Now up 1-0 as Kylie Smith is going to serve to begin this second set for Glendale. She got pulled in that first set in favor of Jessica Taylor, and Smith's back out there, so we'll see what she can do. It's a little short serve, but it gets over, and now Byrne's going to get a little swing over. Jasmine Smith handles it in the back row, and now it's defer, hits it right on top of the block, and nobody can find the ball after it gets through the block, and the Gauchos start out the second set 1-0.
Yeah, a little bit of an unfortunate tip there, but Defer ends up with the kill in her name as Kylie Smith here for the second serve today, and taken in here from the Coyotes at the far end. It's a nice block from Tregaboff, and it's going to go down 2-0 for the Gauchos. A nice block from the freshman.
Yeah, Permenter tried to hit it right through the block, kind of what Defer did to the Coyotes, and that time it just comes right back at her and hits the ground as Smith's going to float a serve to the back end. And now a swing by Byrne does not hit the antenna, and now Jasmine Smith is going to get it over. Better communication this time from the Gauchos on that ball, and a quick pass over doesn't fool Jasmine Smith. And now it's Defer gets down. Defer dropped her head like she didn't get it down, and the line judge said, yeah, it was in, and the Gauchos now up 3-0.
Yeah, and exactly, and Ellie Flake on that far end kind of moved her hands away because she thought it was going to go out of play, but just sent home by Montoya, and able to get on the end of it was Flake, but it just goes miles to the side, and wow, what a ferocious strike there from Montoya.
Yeah, Poorman couldn't handle the serve in the back end, so when she got it, it came over, and Montoya tried to drill a hole through the ground as the Coyotes handle that serve better from Kylie Smith. A swing from Byrne to the back end, right to Doyle, and now Kylie Smith's going to set up Montoya. She goes cross court, and the ball is going to hit the ceiling and drops for the Gauchos, and the Gauchos, they did this in the first set. They kind of got out to a big lead. We'll see if they can hold it as Kylie Smith going for the sixth straight serve in this set. It's going to be floated over and almost down in front of Poorman. It's going to be Byrne who gets blocked. Kept up there by Destiny Lewis for the Coyotes. Byrne with the tip, and Kylie Smith can't get to it as it falls. And the Coyotes right now, all they're doing is setting up Byrne, and they're having trouble handling the Gauchos' serves.
Yeah, and like earlier on in the first set, the Coyotes were playing very defensive volleyball, and that's when the Gauchos were dominating the most, as just right there, a mistake there from Byrne, who we saw dominating in the first set. So you got to wonder if they're a little shell-shocked. They might have not expected GCC to come out firing on all cylinders like this.
Yeah, the Gauchos at least seem to clean up their inconsistencies early on. We'll see if it stays that way, as it's a deep serve there by Tregaboff, but the Coyotes handle it, and a swing this time cross court by Stickley. Now Jasmine Smith's going to try to go cross court, hits it into the block of Byrne and Permenter, and now the Coyotes are only behind 6-2. Coming in for the Coyotes and now serving is Kamani Jackson, and Jackson's going to serve left to right here on your computer screen in the second set. Kamani bounces the ball a couple times, and now Jackson's serve is towards the back end and just handled by Tregaboff. Kylie Smith's going to set up Tregaboff for the kill in the back end, handled there by Destiny Lewis of the Coyotes. And now the setup for Hannah is not great, and she gets it over the net. Jasmine Smith gets it over the block and over the head of three Coyotes defenders, and the Gauchos now extend their lead to 7-2.
Absolutely, the Gauchos moving the ball very well. Jasmine Smith on the near side of our screen, just able to get it across and get it over the net. As we're going to see Doyle now here on the service. The short one gets it over the net, and it's going to be collected in by Kanani Jackson and just sent over by the Coyotes, but too hard from Lewis, and it's quickly an 8-2 lead here for the Gauchos. The Gauchos team that we saw struggle a little bit in the first set, but it seems to be doing all the right things here in the second.
Yeah, as the serve from Doyle now is going to be back to the back end at Kamani Jackson. Jackson is able to get it over to one of her teammates, and they set up Stickley, who doesn't get it down, and Jasmine Smith's got to save a ball that was set up for Tregaboff, but La Liberty, but she didn't take the swing, and it's a tip over the net that gets down right in front of the Gauchos. I believe that was Tregaboff who tried to get over, and now the Coyotes are going to get their chance to serve their way back into it as it's Sydney Permenter, as Permenter's going to go to the back end. It's set up and handled by Tregaboff, and off the block perfectly to the back end for the Coyotes was Permenter. Unlucky for the Gauchos, and Montoya, not a great pass. Jasmine Smith's going to handle another not great pass from the Coyotes. Montoya's going to go cross court with a small tip, and now it's going to be handled by Tregaboff, as Jasmine Smith hits the ball into the net, and now it is 8-4.
A lot of things happening on that play. A nice dig from Tregaboff on the far end. Sent over. Jasmine Smith goes for the kill and just can't get it over the net, as now we're going to see Permenter here on the serve again, collected in by Tregaboff. Smith, far side. A nice block there from Weiserman. She's been all over the court, both killing and blocking for this Coyotes team. And quickly, it's down to just a 3-point deficit, as we're going to see in on the serve again, Permenter, as she's going to send it back across taken in by Tregaboff. Smith in for Montoya, taken in by Permenter. Weiserman on the far end. It's going to be just sent over, and miscommunication again leads to a point for the Coyotes. And we mentioned it in the first set, a lot of miscommunication. We really hope that doesn't creep into the second set as well. Only a 2-point deficit.
And now serving as Permenter for the Coyotes. Handled in the back row by Tregaboff. Set up by Smith for Montoya, and she kills him. We talked about the freshman having trouble kind of rotating in that first set on who is playing well. Montoya has been the rock so far in this game, as now it's Montoya who's going to serve to the back end at Kamani Jackson. She barely handles it. La Liberty tips it, and there's going to be a net violation, I believe, on the Coyotes, and the Gauchos extend it. They were up 6-0 and 7-1 at one point. We talked about trying not to give the momentum back, and they really have, but they're up 10-6 as Montoya floats the serve handled by Jackson, and the swing by Weiserman, and the Coyotes handled by Montoya. Now it's Jasmine Smith who tries to go cross court. It doesn't get down thanks to Hannah. Now it's tipped over the net by Stickley. Now La Liberty tries to kill it, and it comes in hot to the table, almost ruining the broadcast. And the Gauchos are now up 11-6.
Yeah, you know, I was a goalie in high school. I got my hands right here, so I was able to save our laptop, save the broadcast really, as a nice point there on the serve from Montoya. Unable to handle it was the Coyotes. And it's going to be Montoya on the serve once again here for the Gauchos, as score is 12-6 now in the second set. It's going to be taken in by Jackson. And near side, it's going to be Byrne, collects it in. Nice job by Doyle to get to it. Collected in by Smith. And just sending it over is Montoya. Miscommunication. And at the end, it's going to be Stickley, who just mishits it, goes to the back end. 13-6 Gauchos.
And Montoya 2 serves ago. That time she got them with the miscommunication, as we're going to get a timeout here by the Coyotes. We're going to stick with you. Like we talked about, Montoya on that play kind of got the miscommunication of the Coyotes. She hit it into a bundle of players, and it just hit off some hands and went to the back. On the serve prior to that, it touched the net, the top of the net, and just falls down, kind of like some water flowing over a pitcher, just kind of goes right down in front of the Coyotes. And the Gauchos, we talked about trying not to lose momentum. They were up 6-0 and 7-1 at one point. They've now extended the lead to 13-6, so now they're up 7. So they seem to have kind of put themselves into a better position. How do they continue this momentum?
They just got to keep playing the volleyball they were playing the moment they got into the second set. They came in with all kinds of intensity, all kinds of focus, all kinds of desire. They have to keep that every single set, every single play. And it's not going to happen for them unless they come out with that exact same intensity. We've seen a lot of good things from Tregaboff. We've seen a lot of good things from Kylie Smith in this set. Chandler has held their own as well. They came out, they were down 7-1 at one point. They find a way to creep up. 13-6 is the score now. There's a lot of volleyball left to be played, and we are going to see what happens in the rest of this second set.
Like you said, the Gauchos have been able to bring the momentum back to their side, and the freshmen kind of inconsistent, rotating between Tregaboff and Defer and La Liberty on the front side. But Montoya has been the absolute rock and consistent for this team all year. And even though it's early on, that's a good sign. As now the Coyotes handle the serve. Swing from the back end by Lily Hanna. And now Jasmine Smith's going to get a chance to swing. If the line judge doesn't move, she's going to hit her right in the top of the head. And the Coyotes, with an unforced error, are now back within 6.
Yeah, nice dig there from Tregaboff, but it was all for naught. Smith just getting a little bit too much on that one, as we're going to see coming in. It's going to be actually, I believe that's Hannah Poorman on the serve, as the number 5 sends it in, collects it in. Kylie Smith for Smith, and it's tipped twice, and it's going to fall. And that is going to be a point for the Gauchos, 14-7, as we are now going to see Smith herself take the serve here, 14-7.
The Coyotes have been fooled twice by small tips on the front end, and they haven't figured that out. The Gauchos smart enough. They were hitting the balls into blocks hard, as Smith's serve right to left is hardly handled by the Coyotes, but they're going to be able to get it over, and it's going to be a double hit for sure on Kayla Weiserman. She pretty much threw that ball over the net. But like I said, the Gauchos early in this set were hitting the ball into blocks, not getting points, so now they're just tipping it over the net, and it's falling. We'll see if the Coyotes adjust as Smith's line drive serve to the back end. It's hardly handled. La Liberty, it hits her right in the fist as she had to put her hands in to avoid hitting it too far away from anybody. And now the Coyotes are going to set it up. Weiserman hits into a block. It's back to her, and so she hits it over. Kylie Smith's going to set up Tregaboff, and it hits right off the top of the block of Weiserman and Perales, and the Gauchos are now up 16-7.
Yeah, nice job by La Liberty to just collect herself. She did not grab the ball. She didn't double hit it. She just kind of like stuck her arms inside of herself and kind of just collected the ball up so that way someone else can get to it, and finished off at the end there. As near side, there's going to be a kill attempt, and it's going to go for Chandler-Gilbert, as I can't see who exactly that was. I believe it was Permenter, but now we're going to have Lily Hanna in on the serve, as Jackson is going to see her way out for Byrne, who we've seen all over the court tonight.
Yeah, and Byrne has really been their most consistent killer, their most consistent hitter for the Coyotes. And speaking of consistency, the Gauchos have seemed to have gotten into a rhythm outside of a couple of serves. The Gauchos, have got themselves into a rhythm as Jasmine Smith gets it over to Kylie Smith, and now Montoya swings it towards the back end. That doesn't get down. A quick tip, and the Coyotes trying to take the Gauchos strategy, but the Gauchos are quick-witted at the attempt, and Jasmine Smith can't get her kill attempt down. And now it's a tip over the block by Candace Byrne, who we talked about being very good and all over the court for the Coyotes, and you saw there, she comes in and gets them a point.
Yeah, you want to talk about a tip. You know, you might be at home right now thinking a tip, just a quick little float over. It's almost like she faked that she was going to go for a powerful kill attempt, and at the end kind of just palmed it, and it found its way to the ground, as that ball is going to find its way into the ground, and it's going to be credited to Tregaboff on that one. Hit a couple Coyotes and found its way over to the ground, as now we're going to see La Liberty in on the service now. I believe the first time she's serving for the Gauchos today, as we're going to see it come in from the freshman now. A big jump on that one, a powerful serve at the end of it, and it's going to be sent across. At the end, Lewis gets on the end of it, and Lewis is the one who sends it over the libero for the Coyotes.
It was actually Byrne who got that kill attempt, and like we talked about, Byrne has come in two attempts on a kill, and she has smacked them home. And it's hard to see her getting taken out, maybe at least for the rest of the set, as the serve by the libero. Lewis is to the back end of Smith. Jasmine Smith, that is Kylie Smith, tries a little tip over, and the Coyotes copycat that as Marissa Perales gets it down, and the lead is now cut to 17-11. We saw the score at 16-7 at one point, now to 17-11, and another serve by Destiny Lewis, left to right for the Coyotes. That's a line drive serve at Doyle for the Gauchos. Kylie Smith's going to set up Tregaboff with a tip, and it's off the net, and the Coyotes are going to get called for 4 hits. And we've seen the Gauchos either hit it right into the block, and it's getting over the block, and this time they're tipping it. And so the Gauchos have really found smart ways to get their kill attempts down, as the serve by Kylie Smith to the back end is hardly handled, and a tip attempt was touched by the Gauchos. That might have fallen if it wasn't touched at the front line. Instead, they lose the point. The Gauchos might have had a free point there, as that ball didn't seem like it was getting over the net, and the front line tipped it.
Yeah, they got to be able to compose themselves enough to know that that ball is going to fall on the other side had they not touched it across the net. As that service, nice job by Doyle to get to it, and it's going to be collected in by the Coyotes and just sent across by Stickler. Nice block there by Tregaboff, and once again sent across, and it falls short of Doyle. Doyle kind of misreading it, and it falls short of her, and the Coyotes back into this one, 18-13 now.
Like you said, it fell in front of Doyle, and Doyle had a hard time handling that serve. Once she got it, she sent it over the net, probably not on purpose, as Montoya's kill attempts hit into a Coyotes block. Smith's going to set up, defer. That doesn't get down, but a save by Tregaboff for Montoya. Gets it to the middle of the court. The Coyotes handle it. Now here comes a swing from the Coyotes. That one doesn't get down from Stickley. The Gauchos go cross court. It doesn't get down. Doyle with the dig. Kylie Smith handles it, and now Jasmine Smith can only send it over. Now the swing from Byrne is into a block. The Coyotes are going to get one more chance. Lewis is going to set it up for Stickley. That doesn't get down. Jasmine Smith to Kylie Smith. The swing by Montoya's cross end hits Ray Lewis of the Chandler-Gilbert assistant coaching staff. And now the Coyotes have cut the lead to 4.
Wow, the longest rally we've seen this entire game. You know, in the midst of that play, we heard head coach Lisa Stuck just say to keep calm. And at the end of that one, Kylie Smith just hitting it a little too far, as she's actually the one who ends up getting the point on that one. But, you know, in a long rally like that, you know, the adrenaline builds up and it keeps on building up in you to the point where it gets a little bit more difficult to not make erratic decisions. And we kind of saw that at the end of the play there.
And speaking of erratic decision, maybe not as composed as Tregaboff's going to send this serve way out of bounds, and we're going to get a substitution for the Coyotes. It's Kamani Jackson. Lisa Stuck really likes to substitute a lot. We haven't seen too many this season, and in this game, that's Kamani Jackson serving left to right now for the Coyotes. It's going to go cross court to Jasmine Smith. She handles it. Kylie Smith sets up Jasmine Smith. She's going to hit Destiny Lewis in the back row. Now it's passed over by Stickley of the Coyotes. Now Montoya swings into the block. Kylie Smith's going to set up Jasmine Smith this time. She tips it, but it doesn't get down thanks to paralysis of the Coyotes. Now it's a swing by Stickley. Tregoboff saves it in the middle of the court. Now it is Smith. Jasmine Smith hits it off the top of the block, goes out of bounds, too far for Lewis. And the Gauchos now 5 points away from wrapping up the second set.
Yeah, just a nice job of staying composed by these Gauchos, sticking in, getting a couple of key blocks, and at the end of it, Jasmine Smith just able to be too strong on that kill attempt, and it gets sent over as Doyle is going to send it over now, taken in by Jackson. Poorman in for Stickler, and she sends it home.
And Stickley, have been doing a great job at killing all throughout the second set. We're going to get a timeout here from the Gauchos. In the second set, the Gauchos lead the game 1-0. They lead the second set 20-16. We'll be back here on the Gauchos live stream network.
Back in here now at Glendale Community College, 20-16 the score here in the second set as miss hit there, and it is not going to be a good one there from Perminster, and immediately coming into the game is going to be the libero Lewis, and now we're going to see coming in here, it's going to be Taylor Glidewell, the first action we're seeing from her, the sophomore here at Glendale, Seth.
Yeah, and she's coming off 2 ACL tears in 2 years in the same knee as the Coyotes are going to get the swing over from Stickley. Now it's going to be Glidewell who hits it into the block of Weiserman, and it gets down for the Coyotes, now 21-17.
We've seen Weiserman a lot in this game. She's been a key on that front end, getting all those blocks and getting some kills as well. As we're going to see once again the Coyotes in on the serve. It's going to be Ellie Flake. Seth, take it away.
Yeah, it's going to be Flake with the serve, and Flake's going to set it up and serve it over. It's a low serve handled by Doyle, but not very well as it goes out of play on her own side. As we talked about Glidewell coming in, outside of those last 2 serves, Montoya has played every point. You got to get rest for your star player at some point, and Stuck is considering it that the Gauchos are only 4 points away as the Gauchos handle another serve. Tregoboff's swing is handled. Destiny Lewis is going to set it up for Weiserman, who can only pass it over. Now it's Kylie Smith, set up for La Liberty. It's in Destiny Lewis's face, and she keeps it up as the Coyotes get it over thanks to Jackson. Now it's La Liberty, her swing saved by Destiny Lewis. Now a swing by Hannah doesn't get down. Now it's set up for La Liberty. That's a tip. It's tipped up, and that's maybe a double hit. I don't know. It looked like it could have been between the libero and Weiserman, the libero Lewis, as now the Coyotes are trying to get this point. Now it's hit at the back end at Doyle. Kylie Smith set up for Jasmine Smith, and she finally gets the kill. And the Gauchos 3 points away from going up 2-0.
A lot of things happen on that play. First of all, 2 really key digs from Doyle on that one, as well as a key dig from Jackson on the other side for the Coyotes. And now we're going to get a timeout, it will appear, as Chandler-Gilbert needs to talk things over. We'll be right back on the Gauchos live stream network, 22-18. The Gauchos 3 points away from taking it 2-0 in this one.
That was a hell of a rally. Welcome back to the Gauchos live stream network. My name's Seth Askelson along with Adrian Palaio. 22-18 here in the second set as the serve from Jasmine Smith is the back end. And now it is saved there by Destiny Lewis. And unfortunately, Jackson can't get a good pass for anybody on the front line. And now a quick little tip, and it's saved by Jackson, saved there by Poorman, and Lewis is able to get it over. While Liberty has a hook shot via Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to get that ball down, and the Gauchos now 2 points away from finishing off the second set.
Yeah, the ball was going the opposite way of the net, and she kind of just put some spin on it while flapping her hand behind her head and got enough spin on it to get it on the ground. Nice job. And 23-19 now is the score after that missed serve there. And now we're going to see Lily Hanna on the service for the Coyotes.
Yeah, Hanna's going to now serve left to right. The Gauchos 2 points away from going up 2-0 here in the match. Now Kylie Smith gets a pass from Jasmine Smith, who sets up La Liberty, and that is just too far. And now we're 3 points away from a tie. Lisa Stuck telling La Liberty to calm down just a little bit. She's been swinging pretty hard this set and been effective for the most part, but that one was a little wide. As now Doyle handles a pass from the back end, a serve that is, and La Liberty is going to get caught on, I believe, a net violation, and Lisa Stuck with a very emphatic timeout call. We'll be back here on the Gauchos live stream network. 23-21 in the second set for the Gauchos. They're up 1-0. Welcome back here to Glendale, Arizona. Seth Askelson, Adrian Palaio, 2 points away for the Gauchos for tying it up. We have out of timeouts actually for both teams as the swing from Tregaboff is down, and the Gauchos, La Liberty and Tregaboff has had mediocre trouble getting the ball down sometimes in this set, and when it counts the most, Tregaboff is able to do it.
Yeah, Tregaboff just sent that one into another dimension. You know, I don't think that any type of speedometer could have clocked how fast she hit that one. It was a really nice kill there from Tregaboff as it's going to be collected in now by the Coyotes. Sent over by Weiserman. Nice job by Smith to get to it. And on the other end was Deffer, but unable to get a hand on it. But a nice job by Smith of just keeping that one alive.
Yeah, Jasmine Smith punched it, and the Chandler-Gilbert players were looking for a violation, but she had a closed fist. She didn't carry it. She didn't throw it up. She kept it alive. Unfortunately, it fell in front of Defer, as now the serve from Destiny Lewis left to right on your computer screen is kept up there by Jasmine Smith. And now the swing from Tregaboff is into the block, kept up by Defer. It's going to be set up for Tregaboff one more time. Hits right off the palms of Candace Byrne, and that's going to do it here in the second set. The final score of the second set is your Gauchos 25, the Coyotes 22. We'll be back here on the Gauchos live stream network for the third set. Welcome back here to Glendale Community College. Seth Askelson, Adrian Palaio. Your Gauchos up 2-0. What are you expecting out of the Gauchos here in the third set, Adrian?
You know, they have a commanding lead here, up by 2 sets. I just want to see some good volleyball from them. I want to see them play a little bit more calm than they have been playing. Just, play the volleyball that we know they can be playing. They're former national champions. They need to play as such. As we see it being taken in, it's going to be Tragobov on the near side. She gets it to go.
Yeah, Tragobov. And we've talked about the first 2 sets. The Gauchos have really come out on fire. It seems to be that way right now. They've had trouble in the middle and kind of the end of the sets of putting it away, but they have. They're up 2-0, and Tragobov served towards the back end, handled there by Destiny Lewis of the Coyotes. And Jasmine Smith keeps up a line drive kill attempt, and Smith just tips it over the net, doesn't get it down. And now here comes the swing and into the block, and down on the Gauchos side is Lily Hanna, and we're tied at 1 here in the third set.
Yeah, Lily Hanna doing a nice job there of just getting it over the net and seeing what happens. We talked about that earlier. Mishits can always happen in this game, and just an example of that happening right there as Jackson, a little miscommunication with the referee there. She's getting off, and it is going to be sent over from the Coyotes, taken in by Kylie Smith on the far end for Smith herself. And no, nice job of getting to it by Lewis, as it's going to be Weiserman. Nice block there from number 11, Katie Deffer, and she sends it home on the block. A nice job, 2-1 the score now for the Gauchos, as we are now going to see Doyle, the libero, taking the serve here. 2-1 the score, 2-0 is the set score, as the libero will send it over, taken in by Hanna, sent in for Weiserman. A nice block there from Smith, as it's going to be collected and just sent over by Byrne. A nice job by Doyle trying to get to it, unable to do it. 2-2 here.
I'm impressed by Hanna. That ball was over her head, and she just turns, makes a fist. Like we've talked about, nobody's opening their palms, nobody's throwing it over their head. They're closing their fists, they're knocking it up, and that allowed the Coyotes to score, as Destiny Lewis's serve is way too far for anywhere in bounds on the Gauchos side, and the Gauchos taking advantage of unforced errors to go up 3-2. Now serving for the Gauchos is Glidewell. We talked about getting rest for Montoya. Montoya hasn't been in this set. She actually has her jacket on, and that's very interesting. I don't know if that's to keep warm or if that means she's done for the night, but Doyle keeps in a kill attempt from the back end, and Jasmine Smith can't get it over, and now we're at 3. And maybe Lisa Stuck's comfortable enough where she's at, up 2-0, other than some inconsistency in play, really dominating this game, maybe keeping Montoya out and Glidewell in, as a serve from Paralis is towards the back end. And now the Gauchos with a hard swing by Tragobov in the back gets down, and it's up 4-3 for the Gauchos.
That was very impressive from Tragobov. That was off of her back foot, and she was still able to get some really nice speed on that kill attempt, as it is going to be Jasmine Smith, number 17, on the serve now. And we've seen a lot from Smith, both on the kills and on the digs, as she sends it over. Taken in here by Byrne, sent by Poorman, over for Byrne herself. A nice job to get to it by Doyle. It's going to be a race to the ball, and unable to get to it is Smith. And just a nice job by Byrne of just, really hitting the ball hard there and forcing the Gauchos to make an unforced error.
Both Smith and Glidewell chasing in the back left corner, and when they dove at different angles, but at angles where if their hands aren't out to hit each other first, we're talking about a head-on-head collision, a dangerous play. I know you want to play hard, but when you're 3 games into the season, you don't want to lose 2 players who you need, especially on a 10-lady roster, as Jasmine Smith can't handle this serve, and they get bailed out, as there's going to be a double hit called on Lily Hanna, and it is actually to the dismay of Marissa Paralis. She started jumping up and down at the official here closest to the scores table, but when Hanna went to hit it over, it looked like it hit her palm, like the bottom of her hand, and then it hit the inner palm and the fingers.
Yeah, that was very confusing, both for the players on the court and for us at the broadcast table, as finally 5-4 is the score, and we're going to get Talisa Valdez on the service. She sends it over here, collected in by Jackson. Poorman, far side for Byrne. Nice block there. Among it was Tragobov, and just going to be sent over by Poorman, and Poorman sends a poor hit across. Doesn't even go over the net, and it's going to be 6-4 now.
Well, it was between Poorman and Paralis, and it looked like it hit off Paralis' forearms, and it doesn't get down, as Jackson's going to handle the serve from left to right for the Coyotes, and now Hannah's going to get it over. Almost drops in front of the Gauchos. Glidewell from her knees gets it over, and that is very impressive, as another kill attempt by Hannah. Cross court, that gets down, but Taylor Glidewell never giving up as she dove for that initial ball to keep it alive. There was another pass, it was low, and on her 2 knees, she gets it over the net, and unfortunately the Gauchos aren't able to capitalize, but you like the hustle.
Exactly. It just fell to her, and she just put it over the net. Unfortunately, the point not going their way. But on the far side, here's Tragobov, and she sends it home. And wow, this freshman, number 12, Tragobov, just all over the court and getting kills from all areas of the court as well. As now we're going to see the sophomore Kylie Smith here on the serve. 7-5, serving left to right is going to be Smith, as she's going to be sent over, taken in by Jackson. And it's going to be Perales on the far side for Byrne. Tipped across. Tragobov just sends it over a little bit, and it's going to be sent over by Lewis and taken in. Smith had to tussle to get there, and Glidewell will just send it over. And we're going to have a line fall on the Gauchos, and all of a sudden it's just a 1-point lead now.
And Glidewell, when she went to pass that ball over on the third hit, it hit on the inside of her palms, and she pushed it over. She didn't pass it. She pretty much grabbed it and pushed it over. And that caused the point for the Coyotes, now only down 7-6. It's served to the back end for Jasmine Smith. Now Tragobov, her kill attempt is kept up by the Coyotes' libero Lewis. And now the swing by the Coyotes doesn't get down thanks to Valdez. Back row swing by Jasmine Smith. Gets in between Flake and Lewis. They both dove, and it looked like it hit off Lewis's hand, but because they were both trying to avoid each other in a collision, that ball's going to fall, and the Gauchos now up 8-6.
Yeah, just a little bit of miscommunication from Flake and Lewis there, That's always going to hinder you in a game like this, as we are going to see Tragobov, who has done absolutely fantastic today on the serve, taken in by Jackson. And on the far side, Weiserman tip over. Nice job of getting to it by Smith. And it's going to be sent over by the other Smith, Kylie, taken in by the libero Lewis. And on the near side, it's going to be Hannah. She's been doing pretty well as Kylie sends it across for Tragobov. Yes!
Yeah, and it's going to be great job there. It was Tragobov and Defer both going back and forth on those volleys. And the Gauchos are really setting up their freshmen right now. Like we said, Montoya, this sophomore, out. I think it's more because they have control of this game than she's hurt. But it's giving their freshmen an opportunity to get some game time situation as Hannah tries to get a little fisted ball over the net. And it hits right into the net off her face and falls. And the Gauchos now have a 4-point lead in this third set, 10-6.
Yeah, she almost tried to backhand that over. You kind of want to get your palm under it, but she kind of just flung her hand at it as it's just going to be sent over by Perales. A little bit of miscommunication there. And it appeared as though it might have hit the ground, but apparently it did not. And the point is now going to go the way. Well, initially the point was given to the Gauchos.
Well, the ball did hit the floor. Kylie Smith dove out, and it looked like it might have hit her hand, but I think it hit right in front of her fingertips. The Gauchos kept playing, and that's smart. There was no whistle, but unfortunately, they made their minds up, the officials did, and gave the point to the Coyotes as Jasmine Smith's swing is off the hand of Hannah. And Hannah, early on in this set, is having some difficulties both killing the ball, swinging at the ball, and even collecting some kills off the block.
Yeah, nice job by the Gauchos here, as we're going to see Laliberti come back into the game. She's had a couple of kills herself and doing a little bit of impressive work in on the front, as it's going to be the libero Doyle sending it across, taken in. Perales in for Byrne. Nice block there from Glidewell. Glidewell just sends it across and just sends it down.
Yeah, and like we talked about, Glidewell getting into some games here. She is a sophomore, but because the Gauchos have some talented freshman hitters, she hasn't been seeing much action, but with control of the game, they take out Montoya. And Glidewell has played well coming in, and the limited action she's seen in this game as a tip there by Byrne doesn't get down. Oh, and off the block, Jasmine Smith. It went off the block, and Tragobov was coming into where that ball was going to get over the block without a tip. Because it got tipped and it got over. No, actually it's going to be given to the Gauchos. They said it's actually a 4-hit. The official here at the table saying the first ball that went over was a set. It was not a block, and it's going to be the Gauchos now 13-7 as we're going to get a timeout.
Yeah, from our vision, it appeared, like you said, that Tragobov was going to go for it, and Smith, her instinct just got the better of her and just stuck her hand out, and she got it. But the point given to the Gauchos here, now we have a timeout. A play like that where a call goes against you, that can really put a little bit of a damper on your confidence and maybe even on your momentum a little bit. How do you think that Chandler-Gilbert comes out after something like that and tries to rebound, knowing that this is the last set, then they're only 12 points away from a defeat?
They have to be calm. We've been seeing a lot. We saw from Perales on a couple of calls. On a lot of the calls, she's jumping around, very upset, very vocal. And Hannah is really struggling to get the ball over the net, whether it be on a swing or on a block or just trying to pass it over. And right now, the Coyotes just have to settle in. And as we're going to break that timeout here with 25 seconds left, Thank you for joining us. 13-7 in the third set. The Gauchos up 2-0 sets-wise here in the game. And we're finally going to get back to the action here. Doyle, number 10, is going for the serve for the Gauchos. And she gets the cue to go. And here comes her running jump service towards the back end. This time it is at Hannah of the Coyotes. And a pass and great swing by Weiserman. And that's exactly what the Coyotes needed coming out of the timeout.
Yeah, Weiserman, the freshman, just coming in. She's been there all game long, sending those kills down, as now the libero Lewis in on the serve. We see an assistant coach for Chandler-Gilbert getting right up in there, instructing the team. Kylie Smith on the far side for the other Smith, and it's going to be taken in there. And on the near side here for Byrne, she's been doing well today, and Doyle can't get on the end of it.
Yeah, and Doyle having a hard time. We've seen her in this game, a little bit of a struggle for her. But she has played composed in the middle sets in the beginning of this set. And the Gauchos, that's been the biggest key, as Jasmine Smith and Maya Doyle have been picked on in the back row. This time it's going at Jasmine Smith. Kylie Smith now sets it up for Glidewell, who doesn't swing very hard, and that doesn't get down. And now the swing from Byrne is kept by Doyle. Kylie Smith's going to set up Tregaboff in the back row. That's going to go off Hannah for the Coyotes. And now a little tip over into the empty space was Permenter. And the Coyotes coming out of the timeout, 3 points in a row.
Yeah, just great awareness by Permenter of seeing where the Gauchos are, knowing that there was a little bit of space on that right side, and just tipping it over there, I should say. And Smith unable to get there in time. As Lewis sends it over, tips the net, and on the far side it's going to be Smith, and way too much mustard on that one. 13-11 now, and Coach Lisa Stuck needs to talk it over. They need to get their heads right.
Welcome back to Gauchos Live Stream Network. Seth Askelson along with Adrian Palaio in the second home game for the Gauchos volleyball team. They're up 2 sets to nothing, up 13-11 here in the third set as Kylie Smith's going to set up La Liberty, who kills it. And right out of the timeout where the Gauchos were struggling, giving up 4 straight points, they now extend their lead back to 3.
You know, her name is La Liberty, and she's absolutely liberating the Gauchos from this lead that they're in. 3 points now, is it? As it's going to be sent across by Byrne. Nice job by Kylie Smith to get to it. The short Smith able to block that one and sent down by La Liberty coming into this game and making her presence known, Seth.
2 straight kills for La Liberty, and we've talked about the freshman kind of rotating. It's been a freshman by committee on who's going to be swinging the hardest in these sets, and La Liberty seems to be taking charge right now as the serve is not handled great, but the Coyotes are going to get a chance, and it's tipped over by Byrne. It's not going to get down. Kylie Smith's going to set up La Liberty. Her tip, and that is 3 in a row out of the timeout for La Liberty, and she is absolutely dominating.
Oh, man, the cheeky little chip over. Unbelievable by La Liberty. As now we're going to see Glidewell in on the serve. As you mentioned, coming from 2 straight years of injury, and she sends it wide to the right. But La Liberty with a nice job, a freshman, but she's showing nice awareness out there, and she knows where she needs to put the ball at all times.
Like you said, La Liberty knowing, and what kind of hit too, she's just not swinging into the block every time as the serve is not handled very well by Doyle. And now 2 in a row for the Coyotes, bring it to 16-13. And serving for a second straight time is Perales for the Coyotes, going right to left on your radio dial. Perales to the back end to Doyle. Doyle handles this one a little better. Now it's set up for Tregaboff, and it gets knocked down. Smith's going to set up La Liberty, and it's going to go over the head of Perales, off the legs of Destiny Lewis. And coming out of the timeout, La Liberty 4 for 4 on kill attempts.
Yeah, the reaction time of Perales there just not good enough. Ends up going off the knees of Lewis, the libero, as it's going to be sent across by Jasmine Smith, and it just sneaks in there. A nice little line drive serve, and now it's 18-13, and we're going to see Smith do it all over again.
Lily Hanna and Perales look like they were both pushed up really close on the line. They are again. They're not really playing on that back line, and it got over the head, so they thought it was going to get out. But because they're so close, as another line drive serve not handled well, and now Tregaboff got caught in between whether she wanted to kill it or set it. Instead, she passes it behind her head to nobody, and it gets down.
Yeah, she initially wanted to kill it. That's why she jumped. And I think mid-air, she realized that she was not in the greatest position. So, right, you kind of, it's hard because you're doing it off instinct, but you maybe want to shuffle your feet, just, or at least call someone out to get to that one, as it's going to be sent over by Jackson here. Taken in by Smith. Kylie on the far end, and it's going to take over by Lewis. Perales on the far side for Hannah. No good. Hits off the lamppost, actually, as that's going to be sent over by Liberty. Perales, and it's going to be taken in by Doyle now. Nice little rally they got going here. Sent over, and it's going to come across now, and sending it over is going to be Hannah, and it looked like it might have gone out. Head coach Lisa Stuck definitely saying so, and finally the judges are going to rule that it did, in fact, go out. 19-14 now the score, as now we're going to see Deefer come into the game.
Well, Ray Lewis and Amanda Omar, the head coach, Lewis, the assistant coach, asking whether there's a touch. One of the line judges, the line judge on the far end of us, for perspective, we're at the table here, and that would be to your left on the far corner, and the line judge called a hit, and Omar's wondering whether it was overruled or the line judge was being indecisive. Either way, the Gauchos are going to keep the point. I think Omar's, no matter how much Omar's arguing it, there's no instant replay, and so she's not going to get it back, but the Gauchos right now are looking to close it out, and they're doing a pretty good job at keeping the momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. 19-14, you're only 6 points away from a win and a nice trip home. Well, I should say home, but, home here as it's going to be sent over by Perales. Nice job of getting to it by Jackson, as it's just going to be sent over by Hannah and taken in by Valdez. And now on the far side, that's going to be Tregaboff, and she sends it home for what I can only imagine is double digits tonight.
Yeah, and both Tregaboff and La Liberty have been dominant forces. La Liberty in this set, she's been perfect after that timeout, 4 for 4 on kills. Tregaboff has finally settled in a little bit as Valdez's serve is a little too wide of the boundary, and now it is 20-15. Now serving for the Coyotes is Cindy Permenter, and Permenter is going to look at her sideline for any instructions. There are none. She bounces the ball a couple times and serves it right to left. Handled by Jasmine Smith in the back end. Not handled well, but the Coyotes are going to get a chance to get it down as there's a kill attempt cross court by Flake. That one doesn't get down, and trying to go cross court was Tregaboff. That doesn't go through, and we're now at 20-16. Lisa Stuck yelling instructions to her team as she's a little frustrated that this game hasn't been put away just yet.
Yeah, there was a nice dig there by Glidewell. She fell really hard on her knees there. I could hear it all the way from where I'm at in the broadcast booth, as it's going to be far side here for Tregaboff, and it's good. Just unable to handle it there was Perales. And once again, Tregaboff on the end of it, as we're going to see the sophomore captain, Kylie Smith, in on the serve. 21-16. The Gauchos are 4 points away from 4-0 as it's sent across, taken in by Jackson. And on the far side, it's going to be Hannah. Nice block there from Tregaboff, and just sent over from Weiserman. And Kylie in for her again, and yes!
Yeah, that was a swing off the block, and it gets down. I've noticed that for the Coyotes, Perales, she's been very emotional during this set, very outspoken and showing her emotions, and she has not played well. I wonder if that's affecting her. And speaking of affecting, that serve affects Lily. Hannah goes right off her hand and almost right into the table here, as we are 2 points away from wrapping it up here at Glendale Community College. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday night. 23-16 is the serve from Kylie Smith towards the back end. Handled a little better there by Hannah as they were picking on her. Right into the block. It's going to get down but out of bounds. And now we are at 23-17. The Gauchos still 2 points away from picking up their second home victory of the season.
Absolutely. Now we're going to see the Coyotes here on the serve. That's Flake. Kylie Smith, really quick, and a nice job there by Deefer on the nice little tip over. She knew what to do with the ball, and all of a sudden the Gauchos have a match point here, and it is going to be perhaps one of the better players of the game tonight, Alexa Tregaboff, in on the serve. 24-17. This is match point taken in by Lewis Perales, and just sent back over from Lewis, taken in by Smith for Kylie for Tregaboff. Block taken in by Perales. Lewis, it's going to be Hannah. Hannah, nice job to get to it by Valdez, but it'll be for naught. 24-18. Another match point, however, for the Gauchos.
And the Gauchos just having trouble right now. There's just times where I think they're so excited to get this game over that their defense is getting a little porous, but if they can handle this serve, they're going to get a chance to set up either Tregaboff or defer, as it's going to be to Tregaboff. Smith's going to set up Jasmine Smith. That's going to get down, and that's going to be the end of the game. The final score, the Gauchos 3, the Coyotes 0. We'll be back here on the Gauchos live stream network with post-game wrap-up.
Back in now at Glendale Community College, and the Gauchos winners tonight by a score of 3-0. 25-18 the score of the final set. Seth Askelson joined by me, Adrian Palaio, and this is the post-game show, and what was a nice afternoon of volleyball for the Glendale Gauchos. Some nice volleyball being played here tonight. Started out a little bit slow for the Gauchos, I must say. A little bit of inconsistency, a little bit of sloppy play, but at the end of the day, they got it done, and it always seemed like the moment they came out in the second set, they had it firing on all cylinders, and with the play of the likes of Tregaboff and Jasmine Smith, and even some new blood in Katie Deeper and Taylor Glidewell, who we mentioned came back from an injury, the Gauchos were able to get it done tonight. And when we come back, we will have some stats for you as well as some final thoughts on the game tonight. Once again, the Gauchos pick up the win over the Coyotes, 3-0. Adrian Palaio for the Gauchos Live Stream Network. We will be right back. Back in now at Glendale Community College, taking you through like a little story of the game tonight. In the first set, it started out pretty well for the Coyotes, it must be said. Through the play of players like Candace Byrne and Sydney Permenter and Kayla Weiserman, actually, they got it done. And Destiny Lewis as well, the libero, had a pretty good game tonight. But the moment the second set started for Glendale, it was all downhill from there, as Kylie Smith was able to get things going for her team. A very freshman-led team, it must be said. Alexa Tregaboff, Courtney Laliberte, as well as Jasmine Smith, all freshmen who had a very big impact on the game. And the second set from then on, it was all Tregaboff and Laliberte, as well as Kylie Smith getting it done right there. Maya Doyle, the libero, also doing a nice job on the digs. But for Chandler-Gilbert, a good job by their team as well. Destiny Lewis, their libero, doing a nice job getting the digs in on the defense, as well as number 11, Sydney Permenter. Number 10, Kanani Jackson, doing a good job in the back row as well. She struggled a little bit in the first set, getting her composure down a little bit, but she was able to pick it right back up. And we saw in the third set, Marissa Perales getting perhaps a little bit emotional, and maybe that was a little bit of a miscommunication there, as she was able to let Glendale get the better of her. And the third set went rather quickly, as, like I said, from the second set onwards, it was all Glendale. But what a game tonight from the Glendale Gauchos, and they win 3-0 here in Glendale. And when we come back, hopefully, we will have Seth Askelson for some final analysis on the game. And once again, the Gauchos are victorious over Chandler-Gilbert, 3-0. Back into Glendale Community College, as the Gauchos are victorious 3-0 over the Chandler-Gilbert Coyotes. And we're going to sign off here from Glendale. For Seth Askelson, I am Adrian Palaio. Once again, the Glendale Gauchos victorious 3-0 over the Coyotes of Chandler-Gilbert. Be sure to stay tuned to the Gauchos Live Stream Network on both Twitter and Facebook for all other updates on future games for the Glendale Community College athletic program. And when we come back, we will have, I believe, football for you. And we also have a lot of volleyball in store for you as well. So for Seth Askelson, I'm Adrian Palaio. Have a good night, everybody. Once again, GCC victorious in straight sets over Chandler-Gilbert, 3-0. Have a good night.